Disney tried to take down Florida and it did not work out so well. That's despite the media telling everybody everything was swell, with the House of Mouse going after DeSantis and Florida and the Red Sunshine State, those rednecks and rubes. Now those same dubious media accounts are proclaiming that Disney will win against Gina Carano in exactly the same way. We're here to tell you, though, it's exactly the same team going up against Gina that lost in Orlando. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Pro Channel. We are here to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve, and you, if you are so kind, are the gigawatts that drive it all. Click that like button. Let's talk today about Gina Carano. She is in a similar situation as the Sunshine State was when Disney decided they wanted to take them on. This time, Gina Carano was the one who was victimized by Disney, by Lucasfilm, by Star Wars, perhaps by Leslie Headland. And guess what? It's the same team of characters going up against her now. Folks will tell you the combined connections between what Disney was doing in Florida and what they're now up to with Gina. You just might not believe it. Well, until we show you the receipts. What are we talking about today, folks? Well, we're talking about the Gina Carano situation. In particular, it's time to discuss the Shills, because here they come. Lou, before the show today, you were telling me what the actual definition of a shill is.
Well, I looked it up and I knew what it was, but they're saying, well, it's not always a bad thing. Marketers and public relations firms shill, but it is a distinct note of disapproval, according to Merriam-Webster. I wanted to find a Funkin' Wagnalls, but, that's another era. It was started in the 1900s. And referred to a type of con artist, specifically one who aided others in their efforts to part people from their money. For example, a shill might be paid to fake a big win at a casino to make the game look easily winnable. And the first uses of the verb also came around the same time as the noun, applying it to all kinds of cons shill did, but eventually it became just promoting things. But it goes back to 1904, 1912, and they gave a couple of examples of where was this one? The eminent. This was Andy Rooney talking, I believe, about John Houseman when he said the eminent Shakespearean producer is now shilling for a brokerage house. So,
well, you also, when we were talking about it before, shill seems to have some sort of connection with the word slobber. They seem to come.
No, actually, it's shilabber, which doesn't mean slobber, but I don't know what language that is. I was hoping there'd be some interesting etymological roots for it, but no such luck. So,
well, listen.
Either way, it's somebody who convinces you that something is really swell, so that you will invest your time and money in it, and you don't know they're being paid in one way or another to do so.
Lou, I've got this fantastic snake oil that I'd love to sell you. It is great. It'll cure what ails you.
Quit shalobbering, you. Quit it.
Yeah, but Henry, is it any good on the axles of a truck carrying nitroglycerin? That's what I want to know.
Ooh.
All right, very slick. Let's take a look at how the news is covering the Gina Carano lawsuit. And as we do, folks, I want to remind you of how the media covered the Florida situation. Remember, Disney was ingenious, and Florida was filled with rednecks and rubes. They had no idea what they were doing. They would lose. Disney, too big to fail. Their lawyers, too smart and ingenious. And it turned out that, well, Florida won, and it comes with a trillion, yes, we said it, $1 trillion price tag over the next century because of Disney World now having to pay tons of taxes and levies and all kinds of things. Well, here we are again, back at it, and they've not learned a thing. Why have they not learned a thing? Maybe because money's involved, but we'll talk about that later. Disney seeks dismissal of Gina Carano lawsuit. Here are the headlines. Let's read them together, folks. Deadline says, Gina Carano grotesquely trivialized something. Disney says, wants Elon Musk backed suit on Mandalorian firing tossed. Yahoo says, Disney reveals final straw for firing the Mandalorian's Gina Carano. People says, Disney argues firing the Mandalorian's Gina Carano is fair use of its First Amendment rights. You know what? That one's actually fine. That's fair. But then the AV Club comes in with a zinger. Disney asserts its constitutional right to get the hell away from Gina Carano. Don't you love these? Don't you love these? And it keeps going. It keeps going, folks. This is incredible. You'll notice, isn't this interesting that the headlines seem so similar? It makes one wonder why they are so similar. Let's go to page 2 just to see.
There's so many of them, and you just search Disney. Like, there must be getting a lot of clicks from these or other reasons.
I find the quotations in the headline are a little suspicious to me too.
Oh, look who's there.
Just Jared. Just Jared. You can only buy it at Jared's. Says Disney bashes Gina Carano's lawsuit. And social media post that led to firing bashes Gina Carano's lawsuit. And now just below Newsmax and just ahead of New York Daily News, in case you're wondering how John Trent is doing, yes, there's that Park Place. And yes, there is Andrew Esquire's face. Why? Because finally there is a pop culture website doing what it should do. We love bounding into comics, no disparagement there. But it's very nice to see that Park Place with Andrew Esquire of the Legal Mindset. This is the man who called it the entire way with the Florida situation. And now he's calling it with Gina Carano. And now he is sitting in the upper echelon of search queries. You can see, though, MovieWeb says Disney had enough. Variety, fairly fair on that one. Gizmodo, fine. But you can see the idea. Oh, here's a good one. Giant freaking robot, folks. Giant freaking robot. Gina Carano destroyed. Destroyed by Disney and legal filing to dismiss lawsuit. Giant freaking pile of crap.
I think that they might need to look at the past archive footage of atomic explosions and know what destroyed actually means, because this ain't even close to that.
Right.
Yeah, these people obviously never saw Oppenheimer, right?
Exactly.
I wonder if their own
maybe they just went to see Barbie and skipped out.
Them to do that.
Now, folks, we don't normally do this, but if you are so inclined, the highest level of membership here on the Pro Channel is to be able to submit your own articles to that Park Place. What John has done is what we've always dreamed of, and that is to turn this into something that sits at the highest levels now of what Google thinks it should be. Again, landing ahead of the New York Daily News. And by the way, when it comes to legal stuff, that Park Place is not even at the top of legal stuff. So the fact that it's here is amazing. We're really seen as a theme park website and pop culture website. But all of that said, if you would like to submit articles for that Park Place and see your stuff potentially at the top of Google News and other places, consider becoming a VI Pro. And yes, Club 23 is on the way very soon. Again, once a quarter, we do a VI Pro and Premium level membership live stream exclusive called Club 23. Let's take a look at what Disney is saying in their second point, trying again to get this dismissed. They're very capable of getting the news organizations to dismiss this. The courts less so based on their Florida performance. But the second point they make is that the First Amendment protects Disney's decision to disassociate Carano and her controversial speech from its own protected speech in The Mandalorian. And so what they're claiming here is that essentially Mark Hamill, when he ignores the fact he has a grandchild, when he attacks vociferously past presidents, when he compares half the country to horrible things, that apparently isn't controversial. He's fine to come back to Star Wars. And when Pedro Pascal does similar things, that's fine. That's not controversial, according to Disney, apparently. But Gina Carano, when she espouses the views of the mainstream moderates, the sensible center, then she has to go bye-bye. And that is why, if we take a look at this, out of that Park Place, the article you saw sitting there atop some of the mainstream press in Google News, that is why Legal Mindset, Andrew Esquire, has a particular take on this. Let's read about it right now. This by John Trent. Legal analyst reacts to the Walt Disney Company's motion to dismiss Gina Carano's lawsuit will be, quote, another huge fail, unquote, for Disney. Now, we're going to scroll down here. Everybody knows Andrew, friend of the channel, been on many times. We got to get him back on here real soon. But I want you to see what he says. He says, this is a very interesting case. This is a case that it's shocking that Disney is going with the same failed argument that they tried before. Now, why do I say this is the same failed argument? Well, we know that Disney has just settled its case in Florida and actually admitted to illegal wrongdoings in the case, saying that what it did in Florida was indeed illegal, that it was wrong, that there was no First Amendment basis for any of its claims, that the whole First Amendment argument, that the whole thing, or the whole we had the right to say something that's completely bunk in that case. Well, now, in a shocking motion to dismiss filed in the separate Gina Carano case in federal court, by the way, by the same lawyers, they are saying that her claims are barred because they have a First Amendment right to not associate with her, to disassociate her because her artistic expression, her words were harmful to the Disney brand. So they're going to want to disassociate with that. Well, the funny thing there is nothing about that defeats any of the claims of a nature of sexual preference or bias, right? Based on the fact that Gina Carano, a woman, was fired, and Pedro Pascal and several other men were not fired for saying the exact same things, for using, in fact, more abhorrent language, and in some cases making very, very, very offensive jokes of the exact precise nature, and not being fired for it. Ladies and gentlemen, pour one out and toast to Andrew Esquire, because he is on fire yet again, leading the way with what we expect to be the legal outcome. Although in California, this is not Florida, and there's going to be major pressure. And Lou, I need your take on this. How much pressure do you think is going to be on the court to not take this any farther, because it might have major implications on the entire film industry?
I think that's overstated.
Tell me why.
Because first of all, the courts first and foremost need to defend California law, because the next person this happens to could be a left-wing person. It's the
law was made for commies, according to Ron Coleman. That's why this law was originally created.
Yes, it was. But the other thing you have to prove in any basic lawsuit, everybody knows this, even sons of lawyers, the question of standing. If it is true that Gina posting that one statement comparing how people were propagandized then versus now and discriminated against somehow harmed the property, The Mandalorian, because she was in it and therefore they would fire her, wasn't The Mandalorian awfully darn successful with her in it? And wasn't it true that her being in it led them to approach her? And I guarantee you, as I've said before, through her agent as well as personally, to say, we're going to spin off a whole new show with you. That's how evil, awful, unpopular you are, and how much you're costing us money by associating with you. That doesn't
That's a great point. And it makes you wonder if the counter to this from Gina Carano and her lawyers, funded by Elon Musk, by the way, it makes you wonder if the response might be, well, look at the third season then. How'd that go for you?
Exactly. You took her out of it, and suddenly, what? People applauded your wonderful stalwart resistance to this evil person by turning off the show.
It's an interesting take. Very.
You would need an insider inside Walt Disney Company to find the memo that orders the bot attack against Gina Carano.
And what if I said,
Agreed.
I think that Elon's people already have it?
Yeah.
What a great point.
Because Gina mentioned that she received, apparently sent in error to her instead of to somebody else, inside documents. And I have to think, look, it's all well and good that Elon is a swell guy in lots of ways, and he's got all the money in the world, and that he announced, if you got kicked out of your job because of something that you tweeted, let me know, and if the case is valid, we'll take it. But I guarantee you, especially in such a high-profile case, they didn't agree to this without doing one whole heck of a lot of research. And as I said earlier today, and other times too, people talk about, we want to get this as far as Discovery because then we'll get all that information. Well, it's true. In Discovery, they will subpoena every document having to do with her in any way, shape, or form. But Discovery is a funny thing. Discovery often is not the fishing expedition it seems like. It is a way of confronting people in court with the truth of what they did. Because I gave the example this morning of the wonderful Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. If you've seen him interviewing people in the Congress, and he'll say to them, well, how do you feel about X? And they'll give some nice patent safe answer. And he'll say, well, you don't think X, Y, Z? Because that's what you tweeted, here it is. Because that's what you emailed, here it is. Because that's what you wrote in this article 10 years ago. Do you not believe that anymore? And where did you tell anybody you changed your mind? In other words, I think they've got the goods on them already. I really do. But the reason you go to Discovery is so that when they lie about it, you can confront them with, well, you just said this didn't happen, but how come we've got this piece of paper that proves it? So that's just a supposition. I have no inside connection to this case, whatever, but I just don't think the kind of lawyers Elon can afford would go forward if they weren't pretty darn sure of winning.
And had access to Twitter's logs. I mean,
yes. This thing, it was so stupid that they put together this thing where they actually raised money to go after her. All we know is that they put money and they wanted her to contribute. Hey, we're starting a new fund to try and kill you. Would you give us a few bucks for the hitman?
Oh yeah, I know what I wanted to say, and Lou brings up that Disney used money to attack her, and in 2010 there was a landmark Supreme Court decision that further solidified the fact that corporations are people, and that money equals speech.
Yes, it does.
So in this case,
but in this case, it's speech counter to the California law.
So they have a lot of money. They can turn on a fire hose and just drown her out. And she's just a little guy. She has to go to Mr. Musk, get his help. And so we have a system that has become slightly imbalanced towards people like her in her case. It's a good example of maybe the flaws in our system, and where if they're really going to get rights to assume, then you have to.
The only thing I would say to that, Matt, is this: the idea of suing somebody to get them to settle and to get them to go away is not new or even unusual.
Right.
I would say 80 to 90% of all lawsuits never go to court.
That is
the
a tactic.
whole point is to make it more expensive to fight us than to give in to us. The
Right.
fact that she wouldn't give in, we saw that as I said, in the D files, where they talked about, well, the way you get rid of these people is you can't really fire them because they're good, but you can make them so uncomfortable and give them such crummy little assignments to do that they get fed up and leave, and then we'll be free of them. That's their method.
You have to ask yourself the question: why is the Walt Disney Company the happiest place on earth? The owners of that. Why are they acting like the mafia against one woman? Why are they bullying a woman? Aren't they pro-woman?
The word is hubris. The word is hubris.
Because
they think they can.
A moderate woman. I mean, Gina Carano. I'm sorry, I don't see her as being, ultra conservative. Gina Carano, a moderate woman, they could not stand that. They would not allow it. It could not stand within the company. And that is a wrap. Another video of excellence in the can. Folks, we hope you had a great time. We'll do it again real soon. We promise. On the way out the door, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. If you like content such as this and you want things that are even spicier, check out the Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/WDW Pro. You can also find it by clicking on the Pro button on the website, thatpartplace.com. Folks, until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.